Gene Sherrard here. Welcome to this week's installment of Seattle Now and Then 360. More than 30 years ago, my wife and I disastrously hosted our first Thanksgiving feast meant to introduce Vietnamese neighbors to an American immigrant ritual, and roasted our first turkey. Benjamin Franklin's favored bird, bane of chefs and home cooks alike, often emerges from the oven raw or overdone, but our perfectly basted 14-pounder seemed to have achieved a happy medium. As I transferred it from pan to platter, however, a previously unnoticed bag of giblets exploded from the neck cavity. We assured our slightly unnerved friends that this was not part of the traditional fare. In this week's then portrait of King Street Station coachyard workers and trains, taken 22 days before the October 24, 1929 stock market crash that launched the Great Depression, we encounter another particularly American story of arrival, immigration, and citizenship. 90 years later, and by coincidence, two Seattle descendants of men portrayed here separately presented us with this rare image. It began when Casey McNerthey, visiting a postcard and photo exhibit in Portland in April, spotted a panoramic print in a dealer's booth. Its inscription tallied with his great-grandfather Matt McNerthey's time at the coachyard. Leaning in to examine the photo more closely, Casey delighted in finding Matt's face in the crowd. No way, he thought. What are the odds of that? Casey purchased it on the spot. Having immigrated to Seattle from County Down in Northern Ireland in 1911, Matt McNerthey soon found work with the Great Northern Railroad. In October 1916, he met Lily Kempson, a young fugitive who had fled Dublin after playing a significant role in the failed Easter Uprising. After a whirlwind courtship, the couple married and had 7 children. Matt continued his rail work through 2 world wars, retiring in the mid-1950s. Our second serendipitous contributor, 96-year-old Emil Martin, originally Martin Chevik, at an October book event in West Seattle, presented us with the identical photo and pointed out his father, Peter Martin Chevik. Peter arrived in Seattle in 1910 from Yugoslavia and began work as an air brake mechanic in the coachyards. He died in 1964 at age 86. As a boy, Emil came to know his father's co-workers well. He says they were of many nationalities, including Irish, Yugoslavian, Scandinavian, Italian, Belgian, along with an unusually large number of white Russians who fled across Siberia following the 1917 Russian Revolution. In the proud faces of these immigrant men and a handful of women, many who left behind strife, political oppression, and poverty, we salute their hope for better lives in a new world. In our then photo, more than 100 workers posed for an October 2nd, 1929 company portrait on the tracks just south of the King Street Station. Casey McNerthey's great-grandfather, Matt McNerthey, stands just left of center, arms folded, directly above the S of street. Emil Martin's dad, Peter Martin Chevik, with mustache and suspenders, stands above the 2 in October 2nd. Women posing in the observation cars were cleaners, says Emil, but their most disagreeable job was emptying the oft-overflowing spittoons. In our repeat photo, most of Matt and Lily's descendants remain in Seattle, and more than 24 assemble on the Edgar Martinez overpass, looking south above the old coachyards. Casey stands center rear in a blue shirt, surrounded by 14 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren, as well as spouses and cousins. In an Irish family, he asserts, you can always count on 4 things in no particular order: singing, dancing, crying, and drinking. Plus, he adds, always great stories.